President Donald Trump is coming through on a threat to declare a national emergency in order to build the wall along with the border with Mexico. Now, it comes just as legislation makes its way through Congress in order to fund the government and provide just over $1.3 billion for border fencing. Now, Trump supporters are very happy to see President Trump making good on his promise, but critics of the president say this is overreach and is likely to face legal challenges. For this story and all the information, I have to bring in our 360 View panel. Former political Georgia State Representative LaDawn Jones and Ryun, CEO of America Majority. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Scotty.
Thank you. LaDawn, I usually love to go to the women, but I've got to start with Ned with this because this is very surprising that we are still going to see a declaration of emergency. I thought if he signed the budget, we were not going to have to declare emergency. Why is the president doing both?
Well, I mean, first of all, Scotty, when you think about it, it's really only 55 miles of border wall. In his initial $5.7 billion, he wanted over 200 miles of border wall. So this is well short of what he wanted. I think really what it comes down to, Scotty, is Republican senators don't have a stomach for another shutdown. So Trump is realizing and acknowledging, I think he can turn around and say, I tried to work with everyone. I gave them the ability to have this conversation, to put up something that I found appealing. He understands the political realities at the same time, how well short it falls of what he expects. So, of course, he's going to sign the bill. And at the same time, I actually, Scotty, would prefer he didn't do national emergency. I'd prefer the Department of Defense's 284 section authorization, which allows them to build border fencing and walls where there are known drug smuggling corridors. At the same time, listen, Donald Trump is going to get a wall built at some level. I don't think we're going to have this successfully concluded this year. It's going to be a huge issue in 2020.
We'll talk about a huge issue. LaDawn, this is just setting him up to run for people to run straight to the appeals courts and put a stop on this, like they've done with every other piece of executive orders coming from the president. So are Democrats putting their tennis shoes on as we speak right now and ready to run?
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing. You would have thought that Donald Trump was tired of getting beat up in the courts from the minute he hit office and he started putting on bans, on travel bans and things of that sort. You would think, even prior to being president, after being sued over a gajillion billion times, that he would be concerned with doing a measure that he knows is going to end up in court. But then even more than that, first, Mexico is going to build the wall. Now we're using our emergency powers for this wall that we've never had before. It's a little ridiculous, but guess what? It's going to help the Democrats get further in 2020.
Well, that's the question. Is it going to help the Democrats, Ned? Because once again, President Trump had a lot of pushback when he said that possibly it was going to be a fence and he wasn't going to get the wall. I mean, every conservative pundit that we know he listens to pushed back on that. So in this case, is this actually going to be a political thing that helps him get his base re-engaged in this whole entire argument going on?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is one of his main issues, why he actually won in 2016. It's one of the top 3 issues for his base. He has to fight for this, Scotty. I mean, I think if you were to capitulate and say, oh, I'll take 55 miles of fencing, which, by the way, Scotty, in this bill, there are so many restrictions. I'm not even sure any of those 55 miles will actually be built. He has to fight for this. He has to get some wall built, because if he doesn't, if he's not seen for fighting this, I think he really endangers himself in 2020. In fact, I've seen polls that show that he loses half of his base if he doesn't get some of this wall built before 2020.
Ned, with all due respect, I know this is your first time on. Just FYI, because you come on here every week and I love it, this is a no-poll zone. I have declared it for 2020. There are no polls coming from mine, come from any of your. I've had too many fights over weather, so there is no. You get your one pass. From now on, there will be no polls because you can't trust them anymore. But what I can't trust is both of your opinions on this. And you're right, both sides can I do trust, and you're actually reflecting what America feels like right now. So, LaDawn, going into this, when the president signs this legislation, Democrats are going to be, obviously, it's going to get both bases riled up. Tomorrow, what happens? Is Nancy Pelosi going to say, is this a win for her? Because technically, the president's not getting all the money that he wanted from her pouch. But on the other hand, is this a loss? Because the president's still getting money.
Well, no, it's not a loss. In fact, what it does is prove what the Democrats started, that they're on the right side of history. They started with $1.3 billion for the wall. They ended at $1.3 billion, but only after a 35-day petulant president shut down. And so it's definitely a win for them. And then on the next end, I still don't think he's going to get the wall built, even through the emergency powers. By the time he actually goes through the process, the courts are going to shut him down so quickly. So he's going to be in a lose-lose situation. His base is still going to be upset. They might as well get ready for it now.
But the wall's getting built,
This is my point.
Right.
But this is my point, Scotty. If you go the 284 authorization for DOD, how you actually define a drug smuggling corridor is actually a very loose definition. One or two examples of known drug smuggling in that court, you can declare it a drug smuggling corridor. DOD has the ability and authority to build heavy fencing, walls, and roads in those areas. Heck, Donald Trump could declare the entire southern border to be a drug smuggling corridor. I think that's a better option. I don't like this route of going national emergency because who knows what the next president, if it's a Democrat, maybe he'll declare climate change as a national emergency. Maybe he'll declare health care as a national emergency. I'm not a big fan of it.
Well, that's the thing. And unfortunately, Ned, you're not in the White House advising the president right now. But to most Republicans, does it even matter? The wall's getting built. It doesn't matter whether the funds are coming from schools or from the Pentagon. As long as that wall is built, that's all that his base cares about, so they can have that chant at the end of the rally. Does it matter where it comes from?
I think they care. I think there are members of his base that care. We know that even though we see the polls, as you say, his base is getting stronger.
Said the P word.
The reality is they're. I know.
That's your one. That's your one. Both of you got your Patrick. You're done. You're even, both of you.
Good. I'm good. Yes. I still think that there are many of them who are starting to see Donald Trump for who he is, and this is going to be that final nail in the coffin.
Well, you know what? Both of you, though, regardless of both of you getting your one pass, thank you very much for joining us, because this conversation is going to be interesting to wake up to tomorrow morning on how both party reacts. I don't think none of us can really predict. Thanks for joining us.
That's right.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.